Hello everyone, myself P. Sadeshwar Reddy. I'm here to share my thoughts with you all through my speech on National Disaster Management Guidelines. The topics I'm going to discuss are Introduction, Disaster Management, Importance of Disaster Management, the Disaster Management Cycle, Disaster Management in India, and Conclusion. Coming to introduction, disasters take many shapes. Human-made disasters result from human errors and include industrial explosions or structural failures. Natural disasters result from physical phenomena and include earthquakes and droughts. Disasters classified as complex can include epidemics or armed conflicts. In whatever form, disasters disrupt communities and can take a serious toll on people, poverty, economics, and the environment. They often stretch a community's capacity to cope. Next one is disaster management. Disasters have caused by reasons such as earthquakes, heavy rainfalls, hurricanes, chemical accident, drought, or even armed conflict. There is a huge change in climatic conditions on Earth. Summer days are increasing and winters are decreasing. All these changes are including to excessive natural disasters. Disaster management is a primary and secondary plan of peoples to decrease the risk of disasters and to deal with disasters. Disaster management handles the natural calamity and disasters efficiency. In some cases, disaster management may not avoid the situation, but it can surely minimize the impacts. The indirect or direct effects of disasters are always destruction, damage, and death. It also causes the loss of life of both animal and human beings. Importance of disaster management. Disaster management is very important in recent times. It is tackling the hazard that occur before, during and after the disaster. Disaster management is a similar attacks as consuming medicine for curing a disease. Disaster can also be in any form of epidemic diseases or industrial failure such as Bhopal gas tragedy or the disaster of Fukushima nuclear power plant. In the event of a disaster, proper preparations are essential for managing the situation. Proper mechanisms help to minimize the effect. Predicting the probability of some types of disaster can help in decreasing the vulnerability of the people. Disaster management teams help in rehabilitation and in minimizing the loss of lives and properties. This is because they have trained professionals. They provide physical and materialistic assistance but also help in the emotional rehabilitation of people. The disaster management cycle is a series of steps that organizations and individuals use to prepare, sustain, and mitigate unexpected events. This can include natural disasters, unexpected damage to property, or events that otherwise endanger the lives of others. The disaster management cycle helps everyone lessen the impact of unexpected events and recover as many resources as possible after the initial crisis subsidies. A disaster management cycle also helps those who experience disasters, helping them rebuild, regroup, and recover. During an earthquake, if we are inside any building, drop down onto your hands and knees. Take cover in a safe place and hold on. If you are in a bed, stay there and cover your head and neck with a pillow. If we are in an outdoor place, move into a open away from buildings, where street lights, poles, and utility lights are not there. For cyclone, the management measures are hazard mapping, cyclone sheltering. At national, state, and regional level, the construction of cyclone shelters should be taken up to help the vulnerable community from cyclones. The shelters should be built considering the population density, transportation and communication, distance from the affected areas of the past and the area's topography. Next the one is flood management. As the cyclonic storms lead to heavy rainfall, that further lead to flooding in various areas. In drainage system should be well designed to mitigate flooding. The participation both from the government and the local communities required for this. Using hazard mapping, one can predict the vulnerable areas affected by the storms. It maps the pattern of whole cyclones using their wind speed, areas affected, flooding frequency, etc. Vegetation cover improvement. To increase the water infiltration capacity, improving vegetation cover is of high importance. Next one is drought mitigation measures. It would include establishing comprehensive early warning and delivery systems, improved seasonal forecasts, increased emphasis on water conservation, increased or augmented water supplies through greater utilization of ground resources. Next one is disaster management in India. Natural Disaster Management Authority, and also called as NDMA, is the leading government organization in India. NDMA formulates the policies and guidelines for disaster management to ensure timely and effective response towards disasters. The Government of India also keeps a separate fund known as the Contingency Fund of India to manage disasters in India. Functions of NDMA are administration, policies, formulation for disaster management, mitigation of disasters, approval of the plans laid down, formulation of funds for the purpose of mitigation of disasters, running various programs and imparting guidelines. A number of activities needs to be executed in the event of a disaster. This involves the coordination, command, and full control for rapid assessment of damage, restoration of power, telecommunication, and transportation. Also, supply medicines, drinking water, and food material. NDMA team does the setting up of temporary shelters, sanitation and hygiene identification, and the earmarking of resources. Finally, the conclusion is I would like to conclude that disaster management is a collective and coordinated effort. Everyone must take an active part in disaster management to reduce the risk of human life. The proper disaster management team can take charge as soon as possible when the disaster strikes. I am fully confident that everyone will remember this and will also help for spreading awareness among other citizens. It is necessary to solve this but biggest problem related to nature and human life. Thank you.